This is a demonstration of how to use match in Excel to match on two different criteria. So what we're going to use here is a database drawn from Center for Research and Security Prices that has dates, tickers, company name, and returns. And I drew the data for three different companies: Microsoft, IBM, and Apple. And the way the database is created, it just stacks one on top of the other. So if we browse down here, we see that Microsoft's data is first, and then we get into IBM, and then finally Apple data. So this is not in a convenient form if we want to make comparisons of three companies. What we would like ideally is something that looks like this, where we have the dates and then we have the returns for the three different stocks. That would be easier to use for some other purposes. But the data doesn't come in that form. It comes in this form. So what we're going to do is we're going to use match in combination with index to create the database in the form that we wanted. So what we're going to do is use this database right here and create some names. And I've already gone ahead and created the names. And I'll make this appear in the name manager. All I did was highlight the data and then create a name in the box in the upper left-hand corner right here, where you see 019 right now. Anyways, we created data. For example, when I use the term data, I'm referring to everything from A2 to D361. I use dates for anything from A2 to A361. Returns are in column D, and tickers are in column B. And I did this because it cuts down on a lot of typing once I get into using match and index. And you'll see why very shortly. So I'm going to close out the name manager. Now what I'd like to do is actually have everything appear here and have the returns show up under the appropriate ticker. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the match function. Now I'm not going to use it all the way yet. I'm going to just use match with a double match, but we're not going to actually get the return data yet. We're going to do this in two steps. So we're trying to break it down into two steps. So what we've got here is a match situation. So we're going to use match. And match is very convenient because match says, find something you want to match with, the lookup value. Find out where you want to look it up, and then if you want an exact match or not. Those are the three arguments. Well, what we want to do is use it, but in matching both on date and ticker. Well, that's a little trickier, but not impossible. So let's see what happens. What we're going to do is have the lookup value start with the date. So we indicate the date, which in this case is A5. And then we're also going to indicate the ticker, which is in C4. Now something to keep in mind, if we want to take these and copy them to the other columns and rows, we need to lock some things in. So what I'm going to do is lock in the column number for the lookup value for the date, so that as I'm doing this and repeating it for Apple or Microsoft, I can use the date that's in column A, lock A in, and then I want to lock in the ticker symbol, which will be in row 4. So I've locked those in, and that'll allow me to copy this when I get ready to do that. Then we have the lookup array. Well, since we put date first, we need to put the date array first. And I've already named that array dates. And then I need to also match on the tickers. And I've given a name to that column, and that's going to be tickers. And then last of all, we want an exact match. We don't want an approximate date or another company. We want the exact. Otherwise, we don't want it. And now when I hit enter, you'll see that I don't quite get what I'm looking for yet, right? That's because this is an array function. Now what that means is I go to the back end of the formula, and then instead of using enter, I hit Control Shift Enter. Now what I've done is I've created the row number, because that's what match does. It tells you the row number, and that's fine. But that doesn't get me to my answer, which would be the return. So what I'm going to do is nest this match within the index function. So I'm going to go back up here and I'm going to play with it a little bit. I'm going to type in index, the index function. What I need here is an array. So you're talking about all the stuff that's in return data worksheet. We're going to refer to that. I've already given it a name called data. And you'll see it lit up as data, that there is actually a name there. Now I want the row number. Well, match provides the row number, so I don't have to do anything with that. And then the column number. Now the column number is the column number in the actual data. The column number is 1, 2, 3, 4. So what we really want is a 4 here as our element in indicating the column, because the data goes from A2 down to D361. So we want to say it's the 4th column within that array. Then we close this out and we hit enter, and it still gives us that value, right? Because it's an array function. So I go up here, I hit Control Shift Enter all at one time. So not in order, but at one time. And that gives me an array function. So now I've gotten the return for IBM for that date. So we've just done a double match. Now you can go and copy this to other columns, other rows, and you should be able to do that without much difficulty, and so on. Because we've locked in the rows and columns, it should all work. You'll find out that Apple doesn't have any returns at that point. So if we were to take this, copy, and put it over here, well, find some things here. Okay, and double-clicking, and double-clicking will produce what we need. So now we've gotten the returns for these 3 stocks in a way that's easier to use for, say, portfolio optimization or any other use, any kind of comparison we want to make. So just to bottom line it, we've taken the data that is stacked, so it's not in the form that we need it, and we've been able to restack it, if you will, by using the double match command. And I'm just going to click on this one more time. The match uses the ampersand. So it's used just like match would be, except you're adding another dimension to it by using the ampersand. The match gives us the row in the data set, and we use index to actually get the data from that particular row.